Can't believe people think artificial intelligence is a modern idea. Long before circuit boards, code, or electricity, humans were already imagining machines that could think, patrol, and kill. Not in science labs, but in myth. And one of the earliest, most terrifying examples didn't come from the future. He came from ancient Crete. His name was Talos. And for anyone who tried to step foot on that island uninvited, he wasn't a myth, he was a death sentence. What happens when a society becomes so afraid of invasion that it builds something unstoppable to protect itself? And what happens when that creation begins to blur the line between machine and something almost human? This is the story of Talos, the bronze guardian of Crete, and why his fall still feels uncomfortably relevant today. Crete, in the age of Greek myth, wasn't just another island. It was powerful, wealthy, and constantly under threat. Pirates prowled the seas, rival kings plotted raids. Every coastline was a vulnerability, every horizon a potential invasion. King Minos knew this, and Minos wasn't interested in half measures. Human soldiers were slow, they slept, they feared death. They could be bribed, wounded, or overwhelmed. What Minos wanted wasn't an army. He wanted certainty. So he turned to the only being capable of building something beyond human limits: Hephaestus, the god of fire, the god of metal, the god who built weapons for gods themselves. Deep beneath the mountains of Crete, in a forge hidden from mortal eyes, Hephaestus went to work. Bronze melted like liquid sunlight. Flames roared against stone walls. Every strike of his hammer sent sparks flying like stars being born. This wasn't craftsmanship, it was creation. From molten bronze, Hephaestus shaped a figure taller than towers, broader than gates, arms like siege engines, legs like pillars, a body designed not for beauty, but for endurance. And when he was finished, Talos stood, cold, silent, massive. But Talos wasn't empty. Running through his body wasn't blood, but ichor, the sacred life fluid of the gods. It flowed through a single vein, sealed by one bronze bolt embedded at his ankle. That bolt wasn't decoration. It was everything. Life, power, purpose. Talos was given a simple command: protect Crete at all costs. So he did. Every day, Talos marched the island's perimeter. 3 full circuits, without rest, without pause. His bronze feet struck the earth with a sound like distant thunder. From the cliffs, his shadow stretched across the sea like a moving mountain. He didn't negotiate. He didn't warn twice. When ships appeared on the horizon, Talos acted. But myths don't care about perfection. They care about cracks, and Talos had one. When Jason and the Argonauts arrived at Crete, they weren't conquerors. They were exhausted, beaten, fresh from surviving monsters, storms, and betrayals in their hunt for the Golden Fleece. They just wanted safe harbor. Instead, they sailed straight into legend. Talos spotted them instantly. From the cliffs, he rose like a living fortress. Each step sent tremors through stone. The Argonauts froze. This wasn't a man. This wasn't a beast. This was something else. Weapons were useless. Strength meant nothing. Panic spread through the crew as boulders began to crash into the sea around them. Then, Medea noticed something. At Talos' ankle, a small bronze bolt. Insignificant in size, catastrophic in importance. She understood immediately. This giant wasn't invincible. He was engineered, and anything engineered has a failure point. Brute force wouldn't save them. Only intelligence would. Medea approached Talos not with weapons, but with words. She spoke of immortality, of freedom from endless patrol, of release from duty. And for the first time, Talos hesitated. Think about that. The machine designed to never stop, stopped. Whether it was curiosity, longing, or something dangerously close to desire, Talos leaned in. And in that moment, vigilance failed. Jason moved. The bolt was removed. Ichor poured from Talos like molten metal, spilling his divine life into the earth. His strength vanished in seconds. The great guardian stumbled, then collapsed with a sound that shook the island. No epic duel, no final stand. The first robot in history fell not to power, but to persuasion. Greek artists would later depict Talos with a single tear rolling down his bronze cheek. Not because metal can cry, but because the Greeks understood something unsettling. Talos wasn't defeated because he was weak. He was defeated because he was almost human. Even after his fall, Talos refused to fade. By the 4th century BCE, Greek engineers were already building real automatons, mechanical birds that flapped their wings, statues that moved, temple doors that opened on their own using air pressure, water, and gears. Talos wasn't just a myth, he was a blueprint, a warning wrapped in bronze. His story asks questions we're still arguing about today. Can machines think? Can they feel? At what point does a tool become something we owe responsibility to? Talos was created to protect, but never given a choice. He was perfect, tireless, obedient, and yet, one moment of curiosity was enough to undo him. Not because he failed, but because he wanted. Talos wasn't defeated by heroes stronger than him. He was undone by the same thing that defines humanity: longing for freedom, for meaning, for something beyond endless duty. Long before AI, before robots, before algorithms, humans were already imagining the consequences of intelligent creation. And thousands of years later, the question still hangs in the air. If Talos existed today, would you trust him as your protector, or fear him as a weapon you could never control? If you enjoyed this story, subscribe for more forgotten myths and unsettling history. Because long before machines were real, the fear of them already was, and Talos was just the beginning.